So yeah, what's up, guys? So it happened. We're finally going down a deep road that I don't know if we can ever come back from. But Enes Kanter, he entered the draft, the WNBA draft. I was scrolling on Instagram or something, and I saw it. To be honest, I didn't even really watch the full video because I didn't want to pay any mind to it. But he's done it. I guess some sort of weird parameters where you can enter the draft. He found a way to do it, and to be honest, I think I'm on the opposite side of most sports guys. I think that he is making a little bit of a mockery of the WNBA. I'm not gonna come out of here and say I'm like a true WNBA fan. I'm not gonna come on here and say I've been watching WNBA since I was a little kid. I'm not gonna lie. But I have watched the WNBA back when Lisa Leslie was playing, and I believe Reggie Miller's sister was coaching a couple teams. Women's basketball, sometimes it's pretty entertaining. I know it's not dunking on everybody every 10 seconds, but it gets entertaining for the most part. It used to be a lot better back in the day when Lisa Leslie used to play. I felt like it had a little bit more of a, a community back then. But yeah, man. Ennis, he did it. He not did it, but I'm not congratulating him. But he joined the WNBA draft, and personally, I think that it's not a good move for him. I think he's gonna, gain more fans from that because there's a lot of people, for some reason, the transgender thing is coming back around. Transgender people in sports, mainly girls basketball, is coming back around now. Before they didn't want them in boxing and all that type of stuff. And today, my friend he brought it up to me, and we had a big disagreement. He thinks that it's a good thing. He thinks that it needs to be talked about, and he thinks he did the right thing to stop this whole transgender thing in sports. And me personally, I don't necessarily think that a biological man should play in the sport with women, but at the same time, if they feel comfortable doing it, then let them do it. If the competitors don't feel like they're being jeopardized from their earnings or their position, then because at the end of the day, we all know what's what and what's really going on. So I just feel like it's kind of weird for him to do that because it's like, bro, did you really need to go that far? Like, really? Come on, dog. You did not need to go that far. It's not that big of a deal. And also, a lot of people, like this one dude I watch, I think his name is Coach JB. And I used to really like watching him until a couple of times where I'm realizing he's having a lot of, not far right, but, right winged ideas like, women, they don't want women in sports and football. And yeah, and I think that if you're trying to protect women in women's sports, then you should either fight for other things, like fight for women not being in the UFC. UFC is a male-dominated sport. Yeah, it's women against women, but UFC is a male-dominated sport where it's aggression. Guys are beating the crap out of each other. Women are beating the crap out of each other, and y'all love that. Y'all don't care if this woman gets brain damage or anything, but you're out here talking about, oh, I'm trying to protect this. I'm trying to protect women. I don't want them to get beaten up to a pulp by another man. But it's okay for another woman to beat the crap out of another woman to the point where she has CTE and things like that. That's perfectly fine, but when it comes to a guy versus a woman versus a trans woman, oh, just because she's stronger is a disadvantage. Yeah, it might be a disadvantage, but you never know. There's women out there who beat the crap out of men all the time because I know you guys are training. A woman training and a man training is different. and trans men, but people don't they don't understand. Sometimes trans men or trans women are taking hormones, which, if anything, I feel like is a disadvantage, because if you're taking all those type of hormones and vitamins and stuff like that, it's messing with your mental, it's changing your body. You have to go through that whole thing while you're training and figure out what your body and your nutrients is getting different. Meanwhile, it's okay for women to take testosterone and do all this other stuff. So I don't believe all that stuff about protecting women. I think that they're just trying to come up with an excuse to make up for their kind of like hating trans people, because if you thought all people were people and stuff like that, you would kind of lean a little bit towards, not necessarily the left, but lean a little bit towards the way of let the people make their own decisions. If all the women in the WNBA and everybody come up together and they say we do not agree with this, then I don't agree with it. That's hands down. I just don't agree with it because that's what they say. But it's a bunch of men talking about the WNBA like they watched it since it was inaugurated or whatever, since it was established. And most of these dudes don't even watch a single game, but they have their want to put their input in there. And like I said, I'm not trying to act like I'm the biggest fan, but I used to love the games back in the day with Lisa Leslie and all the other people. All the other stars, and it was a good time back then, but it's starting to come back up and it's starting to be a good league, and I think this is making the league look like a joke, just like when they were throwing those dildos on the on half court, you know what I mean? So I just want to see what you guys think, and try to hit me up in the comments. I want to have a good conversation, no hate, no none of that type of stuff, just real good conversation, and let me see what you guys think.